And welcome to the NXL's Windy City Open, just here in Oak Forest, Illinois, about a little over 20 miles south of Chicago. I'm Mike Bianca. I'm the coach of the New Orleans Hurricanes, and I'm sitting here with two legends of the game, Shane Pestana of the Los Angeles Ironmen and Ryan Gray of Austin Notorious. How we doing, boys?
Fantastic. Good to be here. Great weather, and looking forward to get down this week.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything about the weather. It seems like every time we're here, it changes.
Sorry, I already jinxed this. Don't worry about it.
We're not jinxing.
Yeah.
No, it's the venue's fantastic. NXL did a great job laying it out. I think we're going to have a great weekend.
So there were a lot of moves, gentlemen, during this break between Philadelphia and Chicago. I believe this is the event where rosters are officially locked. So everyone's getting that final push in before World Cup. So I understand you've got some reports.
Yeah, so there were a number of moves made, all in the Northeast, which is interesting. But Silos leaves, parts ways with Revo, moves to NYX. I mean, great move for NYX.
Excellent.
Great move for NYX.
Adds depth, adds more offense to that already pretty stellar team going on so far this year.
Absolutely.
Great
Maybe get Corey Hall a little bit of rest. Right?
Yeah.
Let's Silos kind of get involved a little more on the Dorito side, create some tempo out there. Devin Stewart also parting ways with Houston Heat, moving to NRG. Also great pickup.
Well, that's going to add an element to that team. There's going to be some experience and leadership there, maybe bringing some aspects of, hey, we've been deep. Devin Stewart's been deep with Heat a lot, teaching NRG how to go deep.
Yeah, great pickup for sure. And then Weaver moves to Revo, and I believe that's also from NRG. So a lot of musical chairs in the Northeast.
They're bouncing back and forth with each other.
Yeah. Weaver's kind of a utility player, right? He's all over the place, so he's going to add some depth there as well.
Yeah, and then Zach Geiger moves back to NRG, right? He went from NRG to Revo and then back to NRG. So I don't know what's happening in the Northeast. I don't know what's going on.
They shuffled the deck, and this is how it came out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last but certainly not least, Colin Cherry has been a standout for many years. Moves to the Saints for the last two events of the season. I'm sure trying to add a little spark to that group and get them out of the relegation picture.
Colin Cherry is one of those consummate gunfighters, right? So he's going to try and add some real aggression and support there. Get behind those. He'll probably play the 2 a lot. Maybe they'll move him into the 3 to make those reads on this layout, and then we'll see what he brings.
I think he'll bring them more consistency. The way he plays smart. He's going to do his job. And when you watch them play, it seems like they're all playing as individuals. So I think he might be able to tie them all together. Exactly.
Yeah, he's quite a
gun on the
a few of those guys on the Saints came from CEP, right, which is where Colin came from. So, they have experience together. So if anything, it should look more fluid.
Right.
Yeah, so some pretty interesting things happening in semi-pro.
Oh, yeah.
The story's getting interesting down there, right? Mm-hmm. So you have Paintball Fit, who's in first place, has won 3 tournaments in a row, which we believe has never happened before, and has an opportunity to extend that here if they win this event, 4 in a row. And more than likely, a feat that will stick around for a long time. I
Probably won't be beat anytime soon.
Yeah.
Especially in the semi-pro bracket, because that bracket's legit this
Brutal,
year.
right?
Yeah, there's a lot of great teams in that bracket this year. For them to do what they're doing, it's impressive.
It's not just impressive, but semi-pro's been incredibly competitive the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
I didn't used to have much of an interest till I bought it. And now, and then it's now. So a lot of great talent down there too. A lot of these teams in the professional divisions probably got their eyes up. I find the Fit story interesting because they were pro, they dropped down, they just missed the cut that first year in semi-pro, but now they've come back and just been done.
Yeah. So, and then you have Blastcamp in second place, right? Who's on the heels. If Blastcamp can win this event, play well at World Cup, they have an opportunity, right? I think they've been battling for this promotion spot for about 4 years, right? So all 4, right?
Yeah.
Been right there. Just hit some bumps along the way. And then in third place, you have the Killers, right? Who, if you are a fan of paintball, you got to love to watch them play, right? They're gritty and they're nasty and can play both styles of paintball. They can play that slow, more methodical type paintball that we see out of Paintball Fit. And they can also be incredibly ballistic, right?
Right.
Which we see sometimes out of a team like Blastcamp. They send Pogue pretty far when they can. But nonetheless, they're also in the hunt and have an opportunity. If the other 2 teams above them don't fare well this weekend and maybe stumble at World Cup and the Killers play well, they got a shot, right? And then you got the Sea Dogs in 4th place. When we were Oh, I'm sorry. It is the newbies. Yeah, newbies in fourth place. But I believe the newbies have added a couple of pro guys to former pros to kind of help that out, which is fine too, right? A little further out of the hunt, kind of a little less in the picture. And then I brought up Sea Dogs, right? And the reason I brought them up, when we were in semi-pro last year, they were the most fun team we played all year. They are all over the place. They're incredibly fast. They're well coached. They manage the clock pretty well, but they just move around. They play more of kind of a European style of paintball, which is, like kind of get up, shooting for 3 to 4 seconds, and they're already going to their seconds and thirds, whereas, the majority of the teams are going to stick on a lane 8 to 12 seconds, and then you may see a move. But the Sea Dogs are incredibly fun to watch. All of those matches are going to be streamed this weekend on the YouTube channel. So everybody should go over and check that out if you want to kind of see that story unfold. I'm sure you may see one of the three of us over there at some point commentating. Be nice.
And go easy.
Yeah.
By the way, aren't the Killers coached by Todd?
Yeah, Todd. And you can see Todd's influence with the team. That aggression that Todd's, kind of his whole game, his whole career has been offense and firepower and just, you said gritty. That's a great way to describe them. They just come at you in waves, and they're kind of nasty to play against. We practiced them a few times this year, and it's not an easy feat. Let me tell you, those guys are for real.
And when I said gritty, I really meant they always look dirty.
Oh, well, that's true, too.
They always look dirty. I'm like, do you guys wash your stock?
Why would they do that? That's overrated.
Yeah, right.
Come on. Yeah, but the Todd's influence on the team, you see it, and you see that they're believing in him and believing in their system, and that's why they're doing so well. I mean, in essence, their first year in this bracket at this level.
Yeah, I mean, they played semi-pro all year last year,
but
but didn't have a coach.
Yeah,
right. And I know Ryan Hoskinson is really heavy on that now, and I think he's seen kind of the magic of what a good coach can do. And you can only do so much with talent. You got to have data analytics, and you got to have somebody making decisions.
Right. So you got to take that out of their hands. Let them focus on being the players.
Yeah. Yeah. So
fantastic.
Really cool stories happening in semi-pro. Excited to see how those unfold.
We've got some new exciting sponsors for this event as well. One that I'm actually excited to tell a story about because I know this gentleman personally, and that's Logan Landry. Logan Landry's Logistics, right? This Logan Landry is a name in Tennessee paintball. He played with PC Katana. He played with CEP Pro. He's giving back to the community, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. Look for his sponsored bunker in the corner out there on the layout today.
Yeah, so cool to see anybody who gets out of this thing. Number one, I don't know how they do it, so I'm gonna have to ask him, how'd you get out? And then number two, to be able to turn around and give that opportunity back, maybe to somebody else who can see, from being a pro now owning his own business, it provides a little bit of role model aspect, but also just to be able to help fund this thing, right? Really cool of him to be able to do that. We also have well-known high-end beer brand, Goose Island Brewing, right? Brand new for this event. So we're excited to see that. Both of those sponsors, neither one in paintball, right? Not a paintball company. So that's so cool.
We always talk about get the outside sponsor.
Yeah, so if you guys are at home, field and store owners, ask for your product to be shipped with Landry Logistics. If you have an opportunity and they're operating in your area, maybe it's a couple dollars more, but it helps support you, right? Same thing with Goose Island. If you have an opportunity to buy a couple of cases of their beer, get involved.
Yeah, there you go. Win-win.
Yeah. You could have the Goose Island shipped to you, right?
Through Logan.
Right, through Logan Landry. That's great.
Yeah. Or I'm making deals.
That's right. Goose Island, by the way, is going to be that giant center brick sponsor in the center. So,
okay.
By the way, be sure to stop by the 50 and get you some Goose Island beer right there at our beer stand there. Meet me at the 50. Right?
I will be there. You'll probably find me there regularly.
Well, if you know the Hurricanes, this is where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, you guys play well, so you deserve it. I go there to lick my wounds after the last event.
I feel like we're going to talk about the bracket now.
I take my wounds and take my licks, and
that was not scripted. Let's talk about how Chicago sets us up for the Champions Cup. We're heading into the Champions Cup. Everyone remembers how the Champions Cup was done last year. The top 3 pros get a bye into the quarters up, and then the top European team, which I believe is the Tauntauns, will ran that out, those top 4. So the hunt's on.
Yeah, so not only are we expanding Champions Cup, from the pros all the way down, but the NXL has also significantly increased the prize purse.
So they're bringing it all the way across all the division, all X-Ball divisions from pro down. So if it's an X-Ball division, the top 4 get a bye into the Champions.
Yeah, that's correct. So the pros being the only bracket that's really different, where you'll have 3 of the U.S. pros and then the 1 European pro, which you've already mentioned is the Tauntauns. But yeah, in all the other divisions, it's going to be the top 4 teams get a bye into the top 8.
Yeah. And of course, they've increased you'd mentioned earlier, they've increased the prize package.
Yeah, it's significant. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, one of the complaints I always hear, and I'll be a little blunt about it, I'm not really looking for any more friends, is I see a lot of people complain. I see a lot of people complain about the prizes, but the reality is that most of the time when I see those people complaining, they have 0 chance of winning, right? Like the teams that are at the top, rarely do you hear them complaining about the prize. But either way, there's no way you can complain now.
Yeah,
right?
It's an infusion of what the NXL is doing for the league and bringing in outside sponsors and doing the Champions Cup. It just shows that they're trying to make an effort to make the sport that much bigger, that much better, and that much more competitive, in my opinion. And when these teams start moving up the ranks, they feel like they've earned that top 4 spot. They go win World Cup, and then they move up to the next division and really feel like they belong. And a lot of times when those teams move up, even in the pro division, they're competitive. They're competitive at that next level.
Sure.
From D2 up to the semi-pro, from D3 up to D2. I always feel that the top teams always are in the top, and maybe not the best team that first year, but they always are competitive and they can hang with anybody. When they go to the pro bracket, it's a whole nother animal, a whole nother beast. But they're winning games up there too.
I can attest.
Yeah,
it's a totally different beast. Yeah,
different animal. But you just hit on it. I think the word you keep using is competitive. We're all competitors. We all get after it. We're all want it. I think what you're seeing is with the ML, the Major League Paintball. That addition, that expansion, these opportunities, these new sponsors, this new prize package, we're moving in a direction, we're listening, right? That sounds like the league is listening to the players and trying to give them a product, right? That is making a difference in growing the sport. I hear this all the time, grow the sport. Well, you're not going to please everybody. And there's only so many people can do.
Sure.
But that kind of infusion, that's incredible.
Well, I'll tell you what it tells me as somebody who's, I've been around a long time, so have you guys. But when I see a league make a decision like this, what it really makes me feel comfortable about is that the league is financially healthy, right? When I see that, I'm like, okay, well, that must mean they're doing the right things. They have some cash. There's an opportunity to give that back to the players. But as a fan, right, it tells me, hey, my league is healthy, right? It's going to be here for a long time. We don't have to worry about, the NXL and imploding on itself due to financial worries, right? So I know there's always some internet discussion about how much money the league makes and all that. And most people have no idea how much money this league has lost in the last few years. And then now to see what they're doing, again, what it tells me is now they're financially healthy and they can do some things to give back. Yeah, really cool. Yep, same.
I can't say.
No, you cannot.
I can't say. You cannot.
I have a great owner.
So we're standing out here on the layout right now. We're going to walk you through a little bit of the field and some of our opinions, because we all have some opinions about this layout.
I don't know if they're good, but we have opinions.
You certainly have opinions. Ryan, you have an opinion?
Yeah, I have lots. We kind of talked about it on the walkover, and I think we're sort of on the same page about what we think, right? It's going to be critical to get great shots off the start from the back center here. I think you're going to see this doubled up a lot. You might even see it tripled up a little bit. It's really going to depend on how hairy it becomes to get out on the snake side. We already know on the Dorito side, really tough, right? If you're trying to run 2 guys that way, it's going to be really challenging, right? So just big lanes everywhere. And then, of course, we have a beautiful snake, right? That if you can make it through this first kind of lane of death here, if you get out into the snake and the guy gets out there and he's by himself down that wire, it's going to be a really fast point.
Yeah, it's a green light to get on down that. I think you've nailed it, right? You're going to see a lot of pocket play to begin with. There's going to be some bloodbaths on the break, and I think there's going to be some 5-on-5. Those 5-on-5s are going to certainly be really exciting, but I think you'll see some quick concessions in some aspects as well. So I think you're going to have, like you said, doubled up, maybe some pocket shooters in the gaps. That's a big kill zone over on the Dorito side, but the risk-reward snake way, I think we all agree that push the snake, don't lose points from the D side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I feel that the snake is, the snake's side, I should say, is if you can get wide and they don't, it, like you said, it's green light. And it's going to be a tough day for the teams not getting wide. So it's a risk reward. I also think the Dorito side is kind of one of those ones that you can steal points from over there. So, who has players over that can make stuff happen, especially when things go a little south on the snake side for you, maybe you're going to see points get stolen, those low body situations where one player goes and, wreaks havoc on the other team that had, that 5-on-3, and that one player, just turns the tide for everybody. I think this layout is a healthy layout. I think it's more standard, got a long snake, kind of like old school way. And I think I think the better teams are going to win on this field. Long story short, the teams that execute, play as a team, shoot people off the break, and like I said, execute is when it comes down to. That's what
I think a ladder snake, though, right? Very dynamic layout.
Yeah.
We're going to see a lot of different things. I think you're going to see a lot of ingenuity as well out here from a lot of the top teams as well.
Yeah, if when teams get a guy out into that can on the corner and they have a guy in the snake, perfect, right? That's the setup. And I totally agree with what you said about the Dorito side. I think if teams begin to lose on the snake side, they're going to try to flip the field really quickly, and you can do that on this field. You can get into the other team's wedge over here in the Dorito 3. So I do think you'll see some points that are won on the Dorito side. I just think that the majority of the breakouts you see are good. You're going to see 3 and 4 guys running toward the snake side.
And you can contain, right? You can contain from certain bunkers on the field, but not necessarily on the same side of the field that you're on. Right. So, right? Containment on D side is going to be difficult if you're trying to contain from the D side. Right. So, assets have to be turned. I think it's going to be, it's going to be a read and react field, and those teams that have that processing speed are going to be really monstrous.
Yeah, and tons of bounce shots.
It is a pinball machine.
Yeah, so many bounce shots.
I hate them. I hate them.
But I'm going to use them.
Oh, for real.
We're going to hit this part of paintball where it's just become part of the game, right? It's
right.
no longer like an anomaly where you go to an event and there'd be 1 or 2, the guys were getting shot on pretty regularly. Now teams are spending, hour and a half of their practice time trying to figure out where all those bounce shots are, documenting it, and then practicing it, right?
Yeah.
Something as like a true paintball person who grew up playing in the woods, I hate it, but it's just part of the game now.
Not a lot of bounces off trees.
No, zero usually.
No, that would be something.
I would never use them.
You only have wheelbarrow.
Yeah, no, the bounce shots are out here. Like you said, it's a pinball machine, and guys are. The unfortunate part, I feel bad always for the offensive player. He makes a great move, he gets to their side, and then some guy shoots a bounce shot that they shot 10 cases at over the course of the practice weekend, and he clips them in the back of the head, and you're like, but I understand, it's part of the game now. Yeah. That's just the way it is. You know what? There's no way of getting around it, because now I'm seeing players not even try to shoot the player. They're like, I'll just shoot the bounce shot because I know it's going to, I'll try it. Oh, shit, it went right into him.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, that's kind of I think it's here.
As always,
it's not going away.
It's not going away. But neither is the PG-13 language.
I do think also you're going to see through the middle of the field here with the wedge, the box in the middle, and then the wedge. I think you're going to see a lot of teams kind of, especially if they get stopped, their first guy gets shot going outside. I think you're going to see the second or third guy who's going to go up to this brick, then out to the wedge, up to the goose island in the middle bunker, and then over to the other team's wedge, right? Yeah. I think you're going to see that often, right? Well, I can just tell you, you're going to see it from me.
No, you can see that turned out, especially if you lose that body, right? You've got to stop the hemorrhaging. You've got to stop. So there has to be, once again, using a word that we're beating to death, that dynamic move, right? Take it out of the coach's hand. Let's make something happen, and let's try and turn the field and catch somebody napping.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, we were talking about the brackets earlier. Dalton is back.
Oh, that's right.
So Dalton was out of practice with us this weekend. He looks great. Right, so
monster.
Great.
Yeah, so
we play them tomorrow. That's
we're talking about.
I'm so happy Dalton's back.
Oh, yeah, just talking about like points being able to be one on the Dorito side.
Exactly.
It's coming.
Well, it surprise anybody that if Dalton's in the 50 pretty much consistently, and we're like, we got 2 guns on the guy, and he's still making it through.
Right.
Dalton's dynamic. Well, we talk about that flow of the game. Right. A guy that could definitely steal points on that side.
He's different.
And when we play him, we'll definitely have to address him.
He's a funny dude, too.
Yeah.
I enjoy getting to talk to him.
Yeah, no, he's a good player.
Stay tuned. Our bracket picks are coming up next. Well, let's get into some of these picks, these brackets. I don't think you have a bracket of death. I see a lot of parity across the brackets yet. So let's jump right into bracket A. you sit this one out since
Okay.
you're.
We'll let you off the hook this off. We'll let you off the hook. We got you.
I'll lead off.
Don't hurt yourself.
I'm already having an age. But I will say this: I think Dynasty's hard lost with their performances, even with their small stumble last event. Dynasty is the team to beat. They're still the team to beat. It doesn't matter. I believe they're 76 points in first place. So this is a team that's going to play to a lot of their strengths. They've got the depth of the layout. Dynasty's my pick to win this bracket, and then I've got to throw it to Extreme. To maybe, and who knows, I could even swap those two, maybe. But Extreme, with the addition of Silos, they've just been showing such consistency in performance and growth every event. You can't look past them. Now, I will say that I do see a wild card coming out of this bracket. I have some inside knowledge since I got to practice this team. I think you need to keep an eye on Notorious. Their coach.
He's a good dude.
He's a good dude. But I will say that Notorious was showing some more growth and some more. I mean, they're just getting smarter and smarter every event. By the way, congratulations on that top 10 finish last. So my picks are Dynasty, New York Extreme, and I think look for Notorious to be the potential up.
Well, great minds think alike, right? I mean, I think this one, Dynasty's Dynasty. They're the best team in paintball, and they've been for a while. And, you say last event they had a stumble. I think they showed that they're human, which I think for the past, 12 months, they didn't seem like they were human in the sport because they were just dominating every event and just seemed like they were the team to beat. And I, when you've been around this league and you've been around the sport long enough, you start to see these teams, they just have this aura about them, and they have that right. They have this belief in themselves, and they're kind of, they have a little FU towards the rest of the league. Like, you know what? They found that chip, they found that armor to stay at that level. And it's hard to stay at the top because everyone's trying to knock them down. And I think Dynasty's legit, and I think they're legit no matter when they step on the field into every event that they go to. And I think Extreme right now, I want to say they were been the biggest surprise this year, other than the Hurricanes. But I think that the Extreme this year has played amazing. They played as a team all year. They're a tight knit group, and that's why they're being successful, in my opinion. Yeah, and I mean, I'd love to take my boy, but I only can take two.
Really?
And I definitely wouldn't pick me. Just saying,
Well, I would like to add a little comment there. Like, one of the best things I've seen from Dynasty this year is not only are they playing at an incredibly high level, but they're also having a ton of fun, right? Yeah. When you see them kind of wandering around the event and kind of over in the Dynasty booth and what they've done with the Champions Club, like they're doing what they're doing with such grace, right? And then they just look like they're having a blast, right? So, a huge fan, right? Even though, of course, I'm a coach and I'm going to coach against them this weekend. I just love watching what they're doing, right? As a fan, as somebody who loves the game, I think they're doing it the right way, right? Not only are they playing incredibly well, but they're having a ton of fun while they're doing it, right?
Why teams don't watch what they're doing more often, and let's go figure out what they're doing. How do they practice? Why do they do that? Why are they doing this? And that's the most important question in paintball, I think, is the question why. Right? So understand why, and then we can proceed. I think they're having a great time.
Just having a lot of fun. And then selfishly, because I like parity, I'd like to see NYX do better than 5th place, right?
Yes.
And I think the league does too, right? Like, I think they've been kind of right there in 5th place, 6th place most of the year. It's time to see NYX take that next step, right? And I think they're primed and ready to do that. I do think Silos helps, but I kind of want that for me, right? Because I think it's a cool story for the semi-pro teams when teams like NYX, who kind of floundered around last year, to really have some great success this year, making only minor changes, and then the Hurricanes as well. Watching what you guys are doing, which we'll get into more when we get into your bracket.
Well, a recap of the A bracket, I think it'd be universal across the world or country and in the paintball community that they would believe the Dynasty is going to win the bracket, which both of you and I have, and we both believe that Extreme is the other team to beat in that bracket. So I think that it's kind of a consensus pick across the board, and we'll go to bracket B and see what you guys come up with.
Bracket B, you're sitting this one.
I got to sit one out.
You're more than welcome to have commentary as well, but why don't we start with you, Ryan? I've got my picks here. I want to see if we're on the same page.
Yeah, so bracket B is San Antonio X Factor, Edmonton Impact, Baltimore Revo, NRG, and the Ironman, right? So I picked San Antonio X Factor to win this bracket. I feel pretty strongly about that pick. One is because we have an incredibly dynamic snake. And when you watch kind of how X Factor played the field at the last event, and you have Billy Bernaccia going in first, Colt Roberts or Meter Ninos coming in right after them, and then the other being the third one coming in as the opposing team. I mean, your hands are full the entire time, right? So you have arguably one of the best snake players in the world, followed by Colt Roberts, who I don't even know if there's enough accolades to talk about Colt, right? He does the dirty work, right?
Great clip.
Yeah, and then Meter, who's just the last 2 years has been unbelievably good, right? So I picked San Antonio X Factor to win that, to win the bracket. And then I picked Impact to take second in the bracket. We practiced them this weekend. Looked really good, right? Again, when you have an Axel Godin and a snake like this, I just think they're going to be really dangerous. So I don't have a wild card coming out of that one, but I do think it's going to be interesting, kind of with the shuffling of players, to see what happens between Revo and NRG, right? Will there be some chirpiness? That might be one people should put on their schedule for entertainment value.
I know I was going to tune in.
Yeah.
So I have to watch it to scout them, but I can't wait to see. I hope they get after each other.
Sure.
Little brotherly love out there on the field. Why not? Right? It's good.
And by brotherly love, we mean bleed.
Yes.
I'm with you, Ryan. I've got X Factor taken. I think this field layout really plays to their strengths. But, like you, I got to line up against Impact this weekend, and they were looking crisp. Axel Godin, and of course, you've got so many. You can't throw a rock and not hit an elite player on that team. I say that about Heat, right? But Impact and X Factor, that's going to be a great match to watch. I'm tuning into that one for sure. But I've got X Factor edging them out just by that much. Impact taking it. I don't have a wild card coming out of this one as well. So to sum up, I guess it's universal that we think that X Factor is going to eke it out, and that followed by Impact.
Yeah, and I think if Matt Jackson plays really well for Impact, they could absolutely win the bracket.
100%. Yeah. He's a force multiplier on it.
Sure. All right, so we've talked about bracket A and B. Talk about bracket C, which means, Mike, you got to sit this one out. Yeah, so bracket C is going to be Tampa Bay Damage, the New Orleans Hurricanes, AC Diesel, Columbus LVL, and the Latin Saints.
Well, I'll go first on this one. I'm going to throw a little wrench in the system because I like to, piss people off and, rattle cages. I'm going to go with the Hurricanes because they're my boys and they're playing really well this year, and they've been consistent. And I think that this layout is, if you're consistent, you can execute out here. You're going to have a lot of success. So I'm going with the Canes, and I'm going with AC. Yeah. And I know Damage just won, and they're not going to be happy with that. But I just played AC this past weekend, and honestly, AC's legit. They're playing really well. Hinman's really got them on the right page. Not having Rabikoff, I don't know if a lot of people don't. Rabikoff's not playing this event from what I understand, but he was coaching with Hinman, and they look really good out there. So I'm going to go with AC. Probably have Damage as a wild card, of course, because, you don't win events and usually not make Sunday, but I'm just going to throw a little, probably different than what you guys would pick, I would assume. But I just think that's what I'm going to go with. And I like being right sometimes, and I hope you guys get in there.
Yeah, and interesting, in this bracket, we actually have a couple of injuries going on. We don't know about Damian Ryan, right? He may or may not be here. And then J-Rab is hurt. He's not playing, as you mentioned, right? So I had an opportunity to practice the Hurricanes this weekend, and so I unfortunately didn't pick them to win the bracket, not because they weren't playing well, but I know a few things that may impact their ability to play at the highest level. But I picked Damage and Diesel. In my opinion right now, Damage is unbelievably powerful. They're so good. That group is really starting to have faith in one another. They've gotten kind of over that little bit of belief issue, and they're now faithful of one another's abilities to just go out and win the match. And I don't know why Joey doesn't just run every overtime into a one-on-one and send send Jason out there and let him do his thing.
Go do your thing, kid.
Yeah, like it's just unbelievable to watch how good he is and how confident he is, and
playing really well.
and I know that that's contagious, right? It spreads kind of around your group when a guy has that much energy and that kind of aura about him, and he comes back into the pit after, such a big moment. That just it makes your pit elevate, and you can carry a lot of that emotion into the next event. So I picked Damage and Diesel, but I did pick the Canes as a wild card because I do think, though there's a few things that may be a bit of a barrier for them, they'll still be able to put up enough points to get the wild card bid.
I might add a little color commentary here. I want to back you up on ACDs. I was having this conversation. Mike Hinman's one of those forces, right? He comes in, he brings an understanding, he brings an expectation, and if anyone can take a team like that is working on culture, working on becoming a team, Mike Hinman. You figure, okay, he had that first event, now he's got the second event coming up, and I feel like if anything's happened, you give him 2 events with that kind of talent, you're going to see an adjustment. You're going to see an advance. So, yes, I think AC Diesel is a good pick. Damage. I think Damage, they're playing the type of ball they've been wanting to play for a while. I think Joey's finally letting the horses loose. And I think what you're seeing now is this, hey, they're all comfortable with each other. They're feeling it again. Like you said, it's contagious. And you just want to carry that momentum. I think those guys are going to go out there and kill it. I think they're going to be tough. So that AC Diesel Damage match, I'll be watching very closely.
Sure.
Of course. So, but yeah, I think you guys have some good insight on that. That's both good calls.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I like to throw wrenches in the system.
So,
and I think that, the consensus pick will be Damage Diesel. I'm going to take my boys.
I hope to be the wrench.
I hope so too. I hope so too. And I think that, Damage, they win. That's the bottom line. They win and they know how to win. And like you said, they at all facets, they have an anchor, in one-on-ones, and like I said, it is contagious when they come in, and that's talking about having fun. That's fun. Yeah. That's really fun. That's fun for the team, fun for him, and, fun for everyone that's involved in the Damage camp.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got Damage. Oh no, what do we call?
I picked Damage, Diesel, and then Kane being the wild card.
And I took AC, Canes, and Damage as well. Like, you like my pick better? Okay, good. I got you.
Well, we're going to see what happens.
Yeah, that's why you got to go play them.
But I
got to go play the game.
Your pick.
Yeah. So now the bracket D, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We all talk about this one. This nice. Right on. Yeah.
Bracket D.
Yeah. This is going to be an interesting bracket. I think
this one's the most fun.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure. I think that full disclosure, 3 days this past weekend against Houston Heat, and they're Houston Heat. I mean, we took our lumpings from them. We gave some back, but they're that team's loaded, top to bottom. They very good at what they do.
Yeah.
And they would not surprise me if they win this bracket. And I'll do my first. I took Heat and I took Infamous. I think this is a field set up perfectly for Infamous. The way they play aggressively, getting down that snake, keep punching more or less. And but I mean, Heat, would it surprise me if Heat won this event? No, not at all. Watching them play this weekend. There is one little thing that did happen in practice. I'm not like I was talking about. Chad George got a little nicked up on Sunday, and so it'll be interesting to see how healthy he is, because I know it's an ankle. It happened right in front of me. He was a little awkward in the snake, so hopefully he can go, because he's a beast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a force out there, and I really. Will they be fine without him? Of course, because they have so much depth from top to bottom. But I definitely having him on the field makes a difference for that team.
For sure. Yeah, so let me mention the other teams, right? So we have Houston Heat, Los Angeles Infamous, San Diego Aftermath, Brooklyn Bears, and the Red Legion, right? So in my opinion, this is maybe going to be the most fun bracket to watch. Just simply, when we get this far into the season, to me, like, the teams are ranked correctly. You're where you should be.
Yeah.
We played 3 events. Everybody's kind of finished where they finished, and that's really kind of who they are right now, right? So when you look at this one, it's still Red Legion, right? I've said this at every event, like, it's so weird to be calling Red Legion last, right? So you assume if Red Legion is number 5 in your pool, you got a long weekend. You got a long weekend.
That's rough.
But it's also, with all the visa issues and things that they've had going on, they're just not the same. They're just not. They're kind of riding the 5 Russian guys every point. And I think those guys not only get a little bit tired, but also it becomes mundane, if that makes sense. Like, seems like they're kind of trying to do the same thing every point. And I think that they've got a couple kid from Alabama who's really good. And they got another kid from Florida who's really good. I wish they maybe get those guys in there a little more often and give them a spark. But for this bracket, I chose Houston Heat and Infamous.
I think you both. It's a done deal. I think when you're looking at this type of layout with teams like Houston Heat and Infamous, to your point, Infamous, bam, bam, punch, punch, punch. And this is, not only is this aggressive layout, but it also is a puncher's chance layout too. But that works both ways. So yes, those lower tier teams have that chance to pull off some upsets. But when you're going up against an Infamous who knows how to punch every point with the types of weapons they have, I think they're going to be really dangerous on this layout. Second, that with Heat, like I said, you can't throw a rock without hitting an elite player. Yes, Chad George is a monster on the field, but they've got the depth in order to make it work with that. I mean, you can throw, there's so many different people that can throw over there to take over that range. So I think it's a Heat Infamous bracket. And I don't really have a wild card coming out of here either.
Yeah, I don't. But just really quick, I think Jonah Jamrose is going to be the player to watch kind of on Infamous. He's had some events where he has played incredibly well in the snake and looked very elite. Really excited to see how he kind of takes this, how he plays this snake, and whether or not the moment becomes big enough for him to really show out a little, right?
Well, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tune into all the action this weekend on Go Sports and YouTube. And it's going to be an exciting event, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looks like, and I'll say it again, the weather looks good. Why not, right? I'm from California. It's always like this here. So it's, what could happen? Rain out here? Oh, wait, it is Chicago. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. And I think that talking about the outside sponsors coming in, the so much on the line with the champions bracket for this weekend. It sets up for World Cup. Gets us all excited. This is what we do. This is in our DNA, that they get out there and grind every weekend to come to events like this and go beat up on each other and hug each other after, right? That's,
And then go have a Goose Island beer. Yep.
As a coach, I've always, Chicago to me has always been the event where I'm really taking my litmus, right? Like, have we done the things that we needed to do that we learned in the first 3 events, implemented corrective activities, and see where we are, right? Between now and World Cup, it's short, right? We've had a really nice long break since the 3rd event to now. So for me, Chicago is so intriguing because I think this is where the stories really unfold.
100%. I think this is the event where all the teams say I am or I am not.
Right.
Leads in.
Like I am. Like I am. We need to make a run this weekend. I'm tired of getting my ass.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. See you guys out.